Hello everyone and welcome back. Until now we have totally done from the authentication, the infrastructure, setting up the HTTP client, implementing the login and the register form and so on. Now the next step is to start with the next section of the project, which is the plans. If we go to the V2 version of this on the Swagger, you can notice here we have the get plans, and if we click on this, you can see that we have an endpoint, which is a get that takes a query to search page number and page size because it's a paging process. And this is the response that it comes back. So you can notice that it receives an API response, which is value, message, and its success. And the value contains an object called PagedList, which means it had the total number of pages, the current page, the size of the page, the total count of the items, and records property, which has basically the list of items. And you can notice here that each item is a plan, and this is the plan. ID, title, description, cover file, this is not used, cover URL, and to-do items. Basically, to-do items is not retrieved in this one. It's just retrieved in the get by ID to make this request short. So I'm not retrieving this in the API. So basically, this request will retrieve only ID, title, description, cover URL, and that's it. So this is what you are going to implement. But if we go to the previous version, if you remember this one, this is the previous version, we have this layout. It was good. But right now we are going to give the user the more flexibility in controlling his UI. So for example, this is the search over here, and those are cards. In the modern one, we are going to have something like this. Okay, so as you can notice, the user will be able to switch between either to show a data grid, a table with filtering and paging and so on, or the cards layout which is similar to what we have right now. So we'll add this flexibility, which will, through it, the user will have the ability to switch between the mode that finds more comfortable for him. If he has too many plans, then the data grid is going to be better, but he has like few plans, then this one is going to be better. So he can switch with one click. And for you as a learner, you can see how we can deal with the data grid, how we can deal with the pagination, with server-side rendering of that data grid in Blazor, and the cards layout, which is this is the thing that we handle this stuff by ourselves. So yeah, this is everything. Now the first step is to go ahead and start implementing, basically creating the models and so on. So back to the API over here. As you can see, we already have the API response. We need to create two models. The first one is the plan, and the second one is basically the page list. So let's go ahead and do that. I will go to the shared models, and I will add a new class over here. I'll call this one page list. And this page list, okay, I'll make the code like this, public, and it's going to be generic because it could be used for any type of data. For this project, it's going to be plans only, but for other projects, I use basically the same structure for all other projects. So whatever the type is, it's a car or plans or a string, whatever it is. So whenever you have a page data, I treat it like this. So we have total pages, page size, and item counts. So integer, total pages. So if you remember, this is the powerful capability of Visual Studio 2022. Like you can see, we have some AI stuff that's helping us in completing the code. So you can see that. Yeah, I highly recommend you switch for this one because it's very powerful. Page size, and we have the last thing is public, enumerable. Oh, look at the magic over here. That was magical, right? Records. It's completing the syntax, it's completing even the naming, like it gives the right name, which is items. So we have records, items count, page size, page, and total pages. So that's nice. Now the next model we want to create is this one. So let's go ahead and create the plan. Public class, plan. And over here in the plan, it has an ID, cover URL, and yeah, for now to do, add the rest of the properties for more details and the creation. So we will have other properties, like we will use this cover file to when we submit a new plan, and we are going to use those to-do items when we are creating to-dos or we are retrieving a plan by details. Like if you check get plan by ID, then this one will retrieve the list of to-do items related. But for the general one, there is no need to that. And if you would like, we can have two different TDOs. Like we can call this one plan summary, and later on we create another plan which has in details. So let's go with this approach right now, which is lightweight DTOs and more divided. I'll move this one to a new file, like this. Okay, great. Plan summary is a good name for this because actually it's a summary. We are not retrieving the full plan. It's just a summary, as you can see here. It's just a summary, and here you have this one, the page list, and so on. So that's great. Now, what's the next step? Basically, we have to go ahead after creating the model, after understanding what we're going to do. The third step is to go to PlannerApp.client.services and to create the interface or the client, HTTP client service to communicate with the plans. And we have talked about the benefits in the previous session, which is easy for unit testing, easy to isolate the HTTP client from the components, and that logic of fetching, check its status code, and so on. We put it here. We are going to do the same in .NET MAUI and UWP or any other application that we will build. So yeah, you can check the benefits in the previous session. And I think you notice the difference directly in the register page comparing to the login page, which is the traditional approach. So we have plans, or iPlans service. This is how we're going to call this one, and it's going to be public interface. Awesome. Now this one's going to return task PagedList of type plan summary. And look at this genius naming. It automatically detects it that calls get plans async. VS 2022 is magical. Like look at this. If I tap, it directly give it the right name and the continuation we are looking for. This is really magical. So here, page number, or it will take query, and I'll give it a default value to null, and integer page number by default is going to be 1, and integer page size by default is going to be 10. So this is great. Now this is the first function that we will have. Now let's go ahead and start create the implementation. So here directly add new class, and I'll call it plans service. Okay. It's going to implement iPlans service and click implement the interface, and look at this. This is just awesome. I will hide this one just for now. And now that's great. Let's go to the authentication. So you can see that we need those. So instead of typing them, or no, let me type them to see. Oh, this is awesome. HTTP client. The new entry code feature. Wow. It's really wow. I cannot believe how powerful it is. I am now officially on this project, and all my other projects I'm working on VS 2022 because, as you can see, the magic all over the place. So now let's go to the API, and we'll go back over here, and we can check. This is the URL API/v2/plans, and take the query, page number, and page size. So I'll go back to this, and we are going to type var response equals await. No need to write anything. It does this for you. So the URL is /API/v2/plans, and it takes 3 query parameters, which is query, like this, and page number equals page number, and page size equals page size. So you see how putting this code in this service is going to reduce a lot of headache for us. Like in any other project, you don't need to care at all about the API. You just reference this library, inject it, and you're ready to go. You can call it this simple, like get plans async, take query, page number, and page size. So if response.isSuccess status code, else, now if it's isSuccess, then you know it's going to retrieve var result equals await response dot content dot read from JSON async, and it's going to retrieve for us PagedList. Yeah, it completes everything for us. Now return result, and in case of failure, as we have said, all the failure services will retrieve the same thing, always API error response. So I can copy this as it is, put it here, and we should reference this one. Sorry, this one is not the PagedList directly, it's an API response of type PagedList, of type plan summary. So this is great. Okay, now this one, sorry, it's an API response, like that. The reason why I'm retrieving the all API response, in case we need to use the message to show it in the UI somewhere. So this is why we need to retrieve, but you can retrieve the PagedList summary directly. And in case of failure, we are throwing this exception. So we should update this in the plan service as well. Plan service. Okay, that's great. Now we have implemented the model, we have implemented the logic of retrieving them. The last step is just actually to go ahead and create the component, 2 components, data grid one and the cards one, and we can simply deal with this magical thing. So this is everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got amazed with VS 2022 like me, and in addition to those features. And see you in the next video. Thank you.